on the gas line. He said because comparing Bedford County with out in the area of Pittsburgh, he said we're more than triple the rate.
I've seen it on a map.
Yes.
Showed like that, and you go down into Kentucky and you see the same thing with the coal mine area, all the coal mining areas.
Mm-hmm.
Is that as you get farther from the coal mines, the rates of cancer drop.
Mm-hmm.
And you compare that to the rest of the country, and it seems to paint a picture that says, well, there's something going on here that's making people sick.
Right.
And your doctor says he sees the same thing.
Right.
I mean, and he's treating people from all over
He
the
works
area.
in the emergency room.
Yeah.
At Bedford Hospital.
But see, that's the same way when they put the well in there here. All at the same time, see, they put a water softener and stuff in.
Right.
Well, I didn't ruin my spring, but, they ruined it. They put a well in. Yes, so be it. They put it in.
Within our water.
But the water softener, they had to put a water softener in. Well, I had to pay every year for the water softener.
Right.
Well, whenever he got my spring hooked back up, he said, well, this would make up for, how to say, for all the years.
For the last 18 years that we've been putting out it first started out $90 a year to get the softening system changed. And then it got up to $115. But he said, because Robert told him, he said, I don't feel that was my responsibility to pay to get that water softener changed. He said, you guys are the ones that drilled the well. And on the paper where they drilled the well, it has on their well owner, Texas Eastern, that they own the well.
But I asked him about that. He said, well, we just want paid for it. But that's how it's marked right on the paper for this well right here. Texas Eastern.
And this is the well your water comes from.
Right here. Yeah, well, not now it ain't. See,
We don't use it now.
They switched it to so much arsenic and everything in it.
Yeah.
Because the one woman, what'd she say, we got the water checked, and she proved right on the paper, how was it?
Condemned.
Condemned.
It's 3 times after the limit, wasn't it?
The
They
one,
condemned your well.
this in here, yeah.
So you got a sign on it or anything?
Huh?
No.
Ain't nothing on it, but she's got right on the paper where we got the water checked.
Yeah.
It's right on there, condemned.
Wow.
See, I asked the one guy,
But ours is even higher than Wayne and
They
Angels.
said it was so bad that we shouldn't even have put
bath
baths in
in
it.
it,
Yeah.
bath in it or nothing.
And they said at first that we couldn't even boil the water to make it better. Because
Now, when you boil it, it makes it worse.
Yeah.
Because usually if it's a bacteria or something, when you boil it, it'll get the bacteria out. It's opposite with arsenic. If you boil it, it makes it stronger.
And then it say that it can give headache, like arsenic poisoning can start with bad headaches, and we've had them. I get headaches a lot during the
That's the
Yeah.
same way here. I get them a lot and everything. And see, I got some troubles anyway, you know what I mean?
Well, you didn't heal right, and that is some of the side effects from some of the
See,
things
because I
too.
had back operation, stuff like that. My body won't heal.
Mm-hmm.
It don't heal like it should heal it.
Right.
And see, I never knew that there's stuff that'd do that there too. And the more we got to thinking about it, some of the stuff does make sense about the water,
Mm-hmm.
Like I say, I ain't no water person, don't know what it's about, but just hearing other people say it and stuff, and you sit and think, well, it is working that way,
They make it look glorified when they come in and they say you're going to get these monthly checks, But
But if they figure
It's
their
not.
monthly checks for in their pocket,
For
that's
their-
what they must be figuring, because it ain't monthly checks people. But like I say, it ain't money. The money ain't nothing. I just think they ought to come right out. If they're in the wrong, you come right out and tell you you're in the wrong, you know what I mean?
Right.
You know what I mean? Don't sit and beat around the bush about it, you know what I mean? That's the way I was always thought grew up. If I did something wrong, hey, might as well tell about it, because you're gonna eventually find out. But
Let's talk about money a little bit. We don't have to, you don't have to use any numbers or anything, but you were getting checks, right? You were getting
Monthly
royalty
checks.
checks. How would you compare the money that accumulated, like all the money that they paid you? Are you still getting it?
no,
All right, all that money. How would you compare that against, the worth of your land?
I wouldn't do it again. I
No.
wouldn't accept it. I wouldn't cash
No.
a check. It's
no,
And how about, say something about towards money that came right out of your pocket, for the water softener. What other kind of expenses did you guys incur?
well, see, it ain't where we paid for the water softener itself, but
Well, we paid each year to get
But
the
yeah,
thing
we paid
changed.
out each year.
But then
We paid each year.
Last
you
year
know,
they
but-
reimbursed us.
See,
For all the years that you've been
Well, he reimbursed us because the arsenic level was high in there, and we showed him it. He said, whenever he told us, that's why I say how sneaky they are. Well, I'm going to reimburse you for that well, then, you know what I mean? So you can run, if you want to run it back to your spring, you can do it, you know what I mean? So he paid us to run, you know, I've got
We
pipe
had
and
to
stuff,
dig
we
the
ran it
line.
all up and everything up
to
the
hook
well.
back up to your
The
spring.
took it back up to the spring.
Which
But he
still
was
tastes
all at the
right.
same time, he was
Yeah.
reimbursing us, you know.
Mhm.
You know, well, I don't know how to explain it, but that ain't called
But
reimbursement.
on that
you know
paper
what I
that he
mean?
gave us, if anything happens, Angel has a copy of that too. It's to incur any future debts. He was basically paying us off to do that.
Then, so the document you guys signed with him says that they don't have any liability
No.
down the road. And did anybody ever, when this first started, you know, when they first came around, did anybody ever tell you, did they talk about liability at all? And
No.
if anything happens, we'll take care of it. They never said anything. like
No. Actually, right before Spectra came through here, we got a phone call. It was about 6 years ago, right
Yeah,
before
that
his
didn't make
first
sense.
back
I was
surgery.
thinking about that.
And I brought that up, and Kevin McCleary said, well, you know how Phil Lloyd was. He was a very nice guy, just always checking. But not after 18 years, you know, you don't call right out of the blue and say, and I knew who it was because his voice was so distinct. It was
He was always a pretty
A
decent
Texas-
person there, you know, for coming
very,
right out.
yeah, he was a
And
very
I
nice
I
guy.
gotta say, for all of them so far, Phil Lloyd, I would trust him more than I would the rest of them. Because whenever he come back, see Phil Lloyd, that's it. He put the well and stuff in, you know. I don't know if it's
He's
red or
retired.
not, but
Kevin
he's
McCleary,
retired. But they put the well in after they ruined the spring down here. Well, Phil Lloyd was still around yet when the spring come back. He said, well, we ain't gonna say nothing to them yet about it coming back.
that. Oh, to his company.
No, he wasn't going to say to the company
No,
about because
wasn't.
it was 3 days after they drilled the well, or spring came back. But see, what they did also was they covered the pipes
was that
up.
close to the time when Angel had the gusher coming out in her barn?
No, they didn't have it then. There was
See,
that
they
was
didn't
before
have
Wayne
it
and
then. There's
Angel.
another.
But right
And
out
that's
of the
something else
blue,
I've heard today is water popping up in places that it wasn't shooting out of the
Oh,
ground,
it-
and it happens while they're drilling.
Oh, it'll come right out of the side
there
of
was
the
a
bank over there.
spot
Just
up there in the road. Remember
Yeah.
your dad always saying about it?
Yeah.
He even told Phil Lloyd about that.
Has
My
anybody
dad's-
ever grabbed some of that water and given
No.
it to anybody to test?
But his father, Lloyd, took him up there and showed him that
Yeah, I
spot,
can
didn't
remember
he?
about it. It would tell. Every time it got ready to rain or something like that, that water will pop out of there. You take notice to it, and it'll do it. I don't know if
Yeah.
it's still doing it or not. I
I
never paid
don't
no
know.
attention after that.
But
Because
anyways,
you never know when they're actually drilling and doing
Right.
what they're actually doing.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be interesting to catch one,
Mm-hmm.
see if it's
Oh,
frac fluid
yeah.
coming right out of the water, out of the ground.
Yep.
but about 6 years ago, right before his first back surgery, Phil Lloyd called and he said, "How's everyone doing?" And I said, "Fine." And I asked how he was doing. He said, "All in good health." I said, "Well, Robert's going to be going in for surgery." He said, "Really?" He said, "What's going on?" And then I was telling him, and he said, "What about the rest of the family?" He said, "Everyone in good health." And I just thought that was strange that,
Coming from the gas company?
yeah,
To see he's the one that worked for him, you know.
Yeah.
And he's the one that told us whenever spring come back, well, I ain't saying nothing to him right yet.
yeah, don't
Don't say nothing.
say anything to the company that the spring came back
Yeah.
yet.
And see, that's bad at telling you something right then. You know what I mean? When you sit and say about it. There's another guy here, and I never seen him back here since either. And that's that one DP guy. Remember he came and we was asked him, which there's actually two people that said it and everything. Back said when they came to check the water and all that, and they came right out and said, "We know where it's coming from." But and DEP, one guy said, "But we ain't a big enough company to stand up with
To
them."
fight against the gas company.
And that came right out of the one DP guy.
Yeah, he
And the one
said,
guy put the water softener in, which I don't know if you heard of him or not if you're in here, that's George Mickey. Well, he's the one, but he won't say nothing. He won't let on nothing. But he said, I'll tell you where it's come from. But he said, I can't say nothing against him.
He said, because he said they could,
They clean him, how was it, clean him like nothing, you know?
Yeah.
He's nothing to them.
But
You know
he's-
what I mean?